Hello and welcome to CodeSketched. In today's video, we try to understand the class keyword in JavaScript and get to know why it's just some syntactic sugar more than anything else. Let's begin. Inheritance in JavaScript, also known as prototypal inheritance, is quite different from most of the other modern languages. Because instead of there being a template or a skeleton called class from which copies or instances are created, everything in JavaScript is an object and inheritance is just creating linkages between them. To know about this in detail, do check out this video on our channel that explains prototypal inheritance and the prototype keyword in detail. But coming back to the point, the rules of inheritance in JavaScript are so different from the rules of other languages that there needs to be a lot of heavy lifting done just to accomplish a simple parent-child relationship that we are familiar with. Let's try to understand with an example the famous vehicle and car example. Let us say that we want to have a vehicle object. We should be able to create several vehicle instances using the new keyword. Then we should have a car object that has a prototypal relationship with the vehicle object. We should be able to create several car instances using the new keyword as well. This is what the code to get that sort of a behavior looks like. Quite complex, isn't it? Let's explore it line by line. We have a function that returns an object with the brand key inside of it when invoked with the new keyword. If you want a detailed explainer on how functions work with the new keyword, then do comment below. We will try to get a full video out in the future. Next, this line creates a new function on the prototype of vehicle so that the function myBrand is available on all the objects created from it. Next, we have a function named car, which is internally calling the vehicle function with its own this reference, which means it will have the property brand initiated. And then another property called model is being set on it. The next part is pretty interesting. We are using object.create and passing the vehicle's prototype property. This creates a new object that is prototypal linked to the vehicle, and we are setting it on the car.prototype. I know that it is confusing, but you can pause the video and check the code to let it sink in. Lastly, we are adding a new function on the newly created car's prototype that returns the model key. So after all of that, here's what a new object created using the car function looks like. Notice how this has both the properties brand and model. Also, there is car's prototype object with the myModel function as we defined. And if we move up the prototype chain, we can see the myBrand function that was defined on the vehicle. Exactly the kind of behavior that we wanted. After all that prep, let us come back to the main topic of the video, which is the class keyword. As we just saw, it is so difficult to establish a parent-child relationship in JavaScript. Other JavaScript developers also thought the same. Thus, a class keyword was introduced in ES6 to make the life of the developer easier. The class keyword takes inspiration from other languages and lets us use keywords like constructors, super, extends, etc. to create inheritance relationship, even though the underlying inheritance still remains prototypal and does not change at all. Let's look at the same previous example of vehicle and car. This functional definition becomes this class definition. We are setting the brand key on the this binding inside the constructor and creating a class method named myBrand inside of the class definition. Similarly, the gymnastics we had to perform in order to establish a prototypal relationship gets taken care by the extends keyword. We utilize the super keyword instead of the call helper, and we defined a class method named myModel inside of the car class. This essentially gets us the same result as before. That is, if we create a new car object using this car class, we get this as a result. The same object with the brand and model keys set, the same prototype with myModel method, and the same prototype chain linked to vehicle which has the myBrand method. It's just that we have now Javafied the syntax a little, if you know what I mean. This basically means that both of these code snippets are essentially accomplishing the same thing. One is using some tricky features of the language to do some stuff that was never a use case for the language, while the other is using a syntax that was introduced into the language explicitly to perform the said task. You can take the call about which one of these you like better. Hope you now have an idea about what the class keyword does in JavaScript. That's it for today. See you in the next one.